Hello again YouTube, Jake here, and welcome back to another double Kamen Rider Ghost episode review here at Reading Too Much Into Things. For those keeping track, this is the story of Takeru and his friends Onari and Akari, being generally not likable as people, capped off by hunting down and destroying important historical artifacts to turn them into icons, in the hopes of bringing Takeru, who is currently a ghost, back to life. Thankfully, my joke about them only having 10 days left after the last episode did not come true, and we enter our story again with 26 days left for Takeru's revival. In episode 9, Dodo! Jugi no Otoko, roughly translated as Magnificent, the Man of Loyalty. We open with Spectre Siskon telling him not to beat the ever-dying snot out of Takeru, as trying to save her has seemed to have changed him. We cut back to the temple where Takeru is having another dad dream. But enough of that, time to introduce a new character, named Javat, or Jabel depending on your subber. He is played by California-born J-star Sotaro Yusada, who my fellow Toku fans may recognize as Geki Choppa from Geki Rangers. If not, feel free to ask me to do an extensive review of that wonderful series, either alongside these weeklies or in place of them, and I, in return, will start considering getting a Patreon going in order to fund such a creative add-on to my workload. Now, back to the show. It seems the Ganma are not simply random evil spirits, but in fact have a king that they answer to, who Javert says is not happy with how long Daijob is taking. Hence why he's here. And it turns out Daijob is the king's son. Back at the temple... Yes, that's right folks, the return of Sage the Sage, who it seems was on vacation since we last saw him, so he has to be filled in on the plot. Takeru asks to be told what happened 10 years ago, and instead, Sage gives him the hint that the next icon to appear will be Benkei. When pressed for more answers, Sage simply disappears, leaving him with a talking Easter Island statue, and us with more merchandising from Onari and his students. However, it's broken up by the team getting a mysterious letter in the mail relating to a professor who disappeared 10 years ago, and the seeming haunting of his old lab. This stirs something up in Takeru's memory, leading him to look through some photos, finding the professor. Thankfully for my sanity, Akari and Onari recognize our fiend mystery hat on the edge of the same photo with the missing professor and Takeru's father. Meanwhile, on a roof, Hat is telling us, the viewers, his personality before we get into a flashback and giving orders to a Ganma to guide Takeru, most likely into a trap. Freeze it! Along with wanting to give some attention to this rather impressive looking Ganma, I want to express a thought that's been mulling in my head since about episode 2. We see that the Ganma's shapes are highly similar to general icons, before they possess anything. A trope of Kamen Rider with having the hero's power be the same as the enemies or even a reflection of them. But I'm going a layer deeper for this specific series. Ever since the second episode's Ganma was destroyed, revealing it was possessing a radio wave receiver, I couldn't help myself from wondering, why are the Ganma, the enemy ghosts, also taking historical figures as motifs? No, seriously, I want an answer. Bad enough you destroy historical artifacts that should belong in museums, but by casting the Ganma as villains of each episode, and having them have historical figures as motifs, you throw this strange shade on the historical figures. Granted, with a lot of the motifs, I had to look them up and ask people's opinions, but this just feels odder the more I think about it. I get putting Musashi and Kojiro for the first episode. Not only because the two were rivals, but also because they're often seen as opposites. Kojiro in the role of a violent crazed killer, and Musashi as the restrained warrior tired of bloodshed. And I get giving the Ganma for the episode where we get the Edison icon. I understand giving that Ganma a Tesla motif. Again, they were rivals. However, keep in mind what the Ganma was doing. He was inspiring someone who wanted to be like Edison, a new inventor of importance, to try and trick him into creating a disaster. Never mind what a giant middle finger to Tesla this is. Tesla's not exactly what anyone would call a villain. Remember this guy? Yeah, after some digging I found out what his reference was to. A Slavic highwayman and folk hero with a similar legend to Robin Hood. Well, okay, that one isn't so bad, leaving out, you're making another hero into a villain. Alice in Wonderland Ganma, when summoning Nobunaga and getting the Newton icon. Anyone want to explain that one to me? This one is another simple one to get, but also virtually harmless. Yeah, Al Capone, that's a bad guy. They should be cast as villains. Interesting note is that he also has the motif of Machine Gun Jack McGurn, a key member of Al Capone's gang. And then we come to the ones that drive me insane on this train of thought. Mozart and Jean-Henri Fabry. Yeah. Mozart, you can likely tell, was the Ganma during the Beethoven episode. And as a former singer, I have to call foul on the idea that Mozart stomped out horrible, disjointed, squeaky chords. But also as a writer, if you did want to pit these two composers against each other from different eras, you messed that up by having the Ganma be finished off by the Musashi icon. Yeah, it ties into Takeru manning up again after his horror at having to fight Spectre, but Akari could have just as easily given the icon back to him after the fight, and that would have ended just the same. That storyline would have ended just the same. As for Jean-Henri Fabry, that was the B Ganma from the last two episodes. She was a French etymologist who was used as a motif for a cowboy hat wearing, person manipulating bee woman. Go to hell, show him, writer. And now we have a clear Guan Yu Ganma, complete with the magnificent beard, crescent blade polearm, and a dragon motif, against Benkei if we have to trust Sage on that. I ranted long enough. Let's get back to the show. We jump to the missing professor's old lab. And talking with the researcher, they confirm the missing professor was in contact with Takeru's father. The connections and questions are too much for Takeru, who begins to think his father was behind the professor's and Spectre's disappearance 10 years ago. In the hopes of answers, they head to another old research area of the professor's, where they find notes the professor was taking, as well as Benkei's fan. Insert rage here.
Benkei wa inochi o kakete Yoshitsune o nigasu.
Escape to kill himself. The famous legend of Benkei's loyalty, risking his life for his master, was Benkei fighting off soldiers, dying riddled in arrows, standing on his own 2 feet, to allow his master to escape deeper into the castle to commit seppuku himself as opposed to being taken prisoner. However, they find the missing professor is not so missing after all. Being spotted, he runs and Takeru gives chase after him. The professor, when pressed for questions, has a bit of a breakdown, possibly from guilt. Takeru is then attacked by the Guan Yu Ganma, allowing the professor to escape. Realizing he has no chance in a fair fight, Takeru floats away, hoping long-range combat will be his ace in the hole. Takeru aims a finishing move at the Gamma, who blocks it with fire from his dragon beard and disappears. We cut to Spectre, being approached again by Prince Daijob, but when Spectre mouths off, he is attacked by Javert. He's stopped, however, by Daijob, who leaves disappointed in Spectre. Back at the temple, trying to piece things together. Akari finds a message at the back of the professor's notebook. A strange, vague message speaking of death, traitors, and carrying on one's wills. But no names are given, simply leaving more questions. Back at the research building, they find the professor again and ask what happened 10 years ago.
私にもトモと呼べる男がたった一人いた。だが彼は言ってしまった。そして彼と共に全てが失われてしまった。
When Takeru expresses that he believes in himself, the professor has a flashback about Takeru's father believing in the human spirit. Bit of a character gap is all I'm saying.
父親によく似てる。
No. No, they aren't. I showed how they aren't. You want me to show you again? Father said, don't give up on people. Believe in them. Takeru says, I believe in myself. Specifically. Very different mindsets. Very different people. Anyways. He's inspired to trust that Takeru is able to carry on Ryu's legacy. However, before any answers are shared, the Guan Yu Gamma reappears and shows off just how cool a dragon beard is, knocking Takeru's Ole icon out of his hand. The professor jumps between the two, taking a fatal strike to save Takeru's life, thereby being like Benkei and showing true loyalty. The fan begins to glow yellow, and the Guan Yu Gamma shows he arranged everything so that this would happen, which is the only explanation for the professor feeling Takeru and Ryu were similar. And despite it being what Guan Yu Gamma wanted and planned, Takeru still destroys the fan, releasing the ghost coat of the warrior monk Benkei. The Guan Yu Gamma then asks for the icon, like an idiot. Thankfully, Takeru isn't so incompetent as to lose the icon, and transforms into his Benkei form. Completing the form is the Spire Lantern that attaches to his double-ended sword to make... I have no idea. Takeru and the Gamma run off to the, I guess, nearby historical landmark bridge, just in time for Spectre to approach, doing what he tends to do. Gets in the way of fights, allowing the Guan Yu Gamma to escape. Takeru tries to remind him of how he once was, but Spectre's had too many people today saying he's changed. However, Spectre's black hole pyramid is no match for Takeru's claimed weapons work, and he's knocked out of his armor. Worried about Spectre, the Syscon speaks in front of everyone.
俺は何があってもアイコンを15個集める。必ずカノンを生き返らせてみせる。
Again, are there only 15 icons? Are there no other historical figures who count as luminaries in this show's view? We cut to that evening with Prince Daijob and Javert looking over the city, and another Gamma mark placed within it. So our episode ends with dramatic staring. And so we jump right into the next episode. Takeru has only 22 days left as we hit the double digits with episode 10. Shuketsu, Jugo no Icon, roughly translated as Gathered, the 15 icons. We open at the temple, the cast putting together what they learned last episode. Takeru says he'd help Spectre rescue his sister, and Akari points out how much of a risk that would be to him. Takeru says he still plans to come back himself, which at least shows thought to there being more than solely 15 icons. That hope is then slashed when we cut to Hat gloating over all the icons having been created, which leaves me grumbling. He tells the Guan Yu Gamma to attack Spectre to get his icons, while he himself will go after Takeru's. We cut to Takeru and Akari arguing about where to find Spectre, just as Spectre appears before them ready to fight. To try and stop it, Akari steps between the two, However, because her argument is solely, no, but Takaru will disappear, and she has no answer for, then what about Kanon? She isn't much help. So, despite saying he'd give his icons to save Kanon, Takaru transforms when attacked, and the two begin fighting. However, when the two are at a standoff, seemingly even, Takaru lowers his gun. Takaru saying he wants to help save Kanon. All while Spectre points a gun at his face. Spectre, being the wonderfully likable person, tries to shoot, not caring that Takaru's offering to help because, "No, this is my problem, you don't understand!" as he continues to refuse explaining. Takaru, showing some main characterness, says he cannot pick and choose what lives are more important than the others. This makes Spectre have a flashback of Ryu saying something somewhat close to what Takaru just did. And like a butt, Spectre says screw changing so soon and tries to rider kick an unarmored Takaru, only for Akari to stand in his way, leading to Takaru trying to cover her, and finally the spirit of Kanon showing in Spectre's way, finally causing him to shift the rider kick and miss all of them. Javert watching the exchange, displeased. Once away, Spectre and Kanon have a heart-to-heart, neither of them happy with how things are right now. And then they're attacked by the Guan Yu's Dragonbeard, offering the Sis icon back in exchange for Spectre's icon. And he does. And the Guan Yu Ganma, being a stand-up evil kidnapping ghost, keeps up his side of the deal and returns the Siscon. In a move I like, Spectre doesn't think Takaru's somehow behind this, but in a move I don't, he states he won't believe anyone anymore, trying to draw more differences between Spectre and Takaru. We cut to Prince Daijab overlooking another Gamma mark, being informed by Javert of Spectre's doing, and Daijab stating he's changed because of Takaru, and that he's in the way. After Daijab leaves, Javert states there's a secret behind the icons that Daijab doesn't know, and that Javert's secretness is in accordance with Daijab's brother's wishes. Back with Onari and his students looking for Hat, Hat sneaks up on one of them, Shibuya I think his name is, and puts a Ganma icon in him, possessing him. Also, it seems Hat can either turn invisible or teleport. Seriously with that scene! Seriously? Moving on. Back at the temple, everyone runs through their failures. Akari heads off to analyze the big important rock some more, and the possessed student asks to see Takaru's icons, which Takaru then takes out and lines up. Shibuya then somehow electrocutes Onari and the other student. Since these attacks were not seen, he tells Takaru to call 119. Yeah, Japan's emergency number is 119. Though only for fire services and ambulance. Likely because it's easier to say Ichi-Ichi-Q than QQ-Ichi. Leaving Shibuya to steal the icons, though unknown by him, seen by the spider lantern that Takaru, I guess, lets wander the temple as a spider? That's creepy. So when Takaru comes back, the spider is able to, via a lamp thread I guess it stuck to Shibuya, show Takaru where he went. Well, doesn't that just leave a whole ton of questions concerning why they didn't wake up when shaken? The student is found before he can give the icons to the Guan Yu Gamma, and the two are attacked by all of Takaru's animal gadgets. This isn't a joke, this is fact about Kamen Rider. Takaru engages the Gamma, and his base form is not doing well against the might of Guan Yu. However, Onari is able to throw him one of the dropped icons, that of Benkei, which, according to this show, can totally trump Guan Yu's strength no problem. Oh. His weapon's supposed to be a hammer. Huh. That doesn't feel like it makes sense, but whatever. Takaru goes off to depossess Shibuya before Onari gives him back the dropped icons of Takaru's, and the mascot gives him the other 4 from Spectre. And just in time, Spectre appears wanting to settle things. However, the both of them are interrupted, rather explosively, by the slow-motion walking Javert, who uses a more important Ganma icon to change into a rider-like Ganma form. Things do not go well for the two riders, and unlike most poorly written villains, he does not explain his plan simply because he believes the heroes are about to die anyways. The two get tossed around rather soundly by Javert, Takaru getting banged up enough to drop his 6 icons. Hat appears, a bit worried at how the plan is turning out, however uses the chaos to his advantage, since his suitcase, which already has 5 icons in it, is able to pull in the 10 icons from a distance. Before anyone can snatch them back, he raises a large barrier which encases the temple and some of the surrounding town. And so our episode ends with Akari being knocked out by a shockwave from the big important rock just as Hat enters the office, ready to begin the ceremony. And that was episode 9 and 10 of Kamen Rider Ghost. I swear, the more I think about what this series is indirectly saying, the more it hurts me. And yes, I get that this is a kid's show, and that I shouldn't be looking so deep into something that's clearly meant as mindless adventure with some historical facts thrown in. 1. It being a kid's show should give it less leeway for being stupid or poorly made, not more. Developing minds such as children's should be exposed to good material, good historical facts, good science, good math, good writing, good character development. Number 2. This is a reminder that this channel is called Reading Too Much Into Things. My whole mission statement is to peel back what the authors might not have directly meant, but is what is presented to the viewers all the same. Anyway, thank you again for watching my review. And I was serious, if you, the viewers and fans, want me to watch and review other Toku series, and yes, I will be watching the new Super Sentai coming up and reviewing it, please let me know in a comment down below or in any of the social media ways of contacting me, and I'll work on seeing how much time and effort that would cost and probably start up a Patreon page. Again, thank you all for watching, and as always, stay safe.
And I'm Javert.